Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Happy Travel Tuesday, everybody. It is April 18th, 2023, and it's time to pack your bags. We're going on a musical road trip with animals.
You should always travel in every sphere of your life.
Yeah, well, we're going to start with the quote of the day, since it's Travel Tuesday. This is from Ma Jian, from his book Red Dust, A Path Through China. Everything I was, I carry with me. Everything I will be lies waiting on the road ahead.
Absolutely.
Isn't that perfect?
And then you know what? You pick up some and you lose some.
I love it. We have to, since we travel full time.
No, well, it's true.
You can only fit so much in your life. Sometimes you got to let it go.
It's a process.
It is. Today is the official tax day. Yeah, I know. It's over. It's over by the end of the day. So hopefully everybody got their... I know, but, I was reading one of those, websites that we look at to find out what's going on today, and they say, federal income taxes are an important cornerstone of our economy. Okay.
I would like to know that when I pay taxes, that the people that their salaries are paid by our taxes are worthy of it.
Okay, let's not get political.
No, not at all.
All right, today is National Lineman Day, Lineman Appreciation Day, honoring the men and women who work around the clock to keep power going. This is a big deal.
I love that.
They get up there, when there's hurricanes or windstorms, tornadoes, you name it, ice storms, they get back out there on the road, climb those poles, and get things back going for us.
I want to climb a pole.
Yeah. So I give power to the people that turn our lights on.
Absolutely.
So, of course, we had to play the Witchita Lineman.
Of course.
Especially for Nancy by Glen Campbell.
Exactly.
So that is on our music playlist, our soundtrack of the day. So again, always check our show notes. No matter where you're listening from, the show notes have links to stories we're telling you, recipes, puzzles, you name it. And the playlist. Because music helps everything.
It rocks your world, man.
Okay, now we're going to get into the animals.
Okay, cool.
Today is National Animal Crackers Day. Now, I didn't really grow up with animal crackers, but did you, Nancy?
Yes.
Oh,
they came in a little red and yellow box. And unfortunately, as I recall, I could be wrong, but they were like they were in a zoo. And they had little animals behind bars, and it was red across top and the bottom and yellow bars, and then there would be an animal in there, and there was animal crackers.
Oh, circus or zoo animals from
exactly.
We want them to be free.
Exactly.
We want the animals to be free.
But they were still yummy.
And it taught you your animals.
And they came in shapes like, I remember my favorite was a camel, because I thought it was really weird that you could actually get a cookie or cracker, whichever you want to call it, in the shape of a camel.
Well, I'm asking Kuzi the cat, Cusco here, what she thinks. She didn't like
share it like that at all.
She just walked away and showed us her butt.
No, that's disgusting.
Yep, that was not her thing, apparently.
But it inspired me to make cakes in the shape of animals, like the tortoise cake and all the cakes I used to make you when you were growing up.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of animals, all right, so music
for the animals.
Music is going to be a little animalistic and birds, and so the very first, not the first one, the second song on the playlist is Roadrunner by the Animals, because we had to.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into some crossword history that has a crossword puzzle on our site. The link is in the show notes, with a giant Roadrunner that is outside of Las Cruces, New Mexico.
So cool.
And the Roadrunner is made out of recycled things that need to be recycled and not be put in landfills, like computer parts and stuff like that. It's been made like more than once, and it's like, touched up and added to. But there's a rest area in Las Cruces that you can see it in, and it's a beautiful view of the valley too. So right off of the interstate. So that's a cool thing.
It's a cool sculpture. You should go see it.
All right. So now it's also National Piñata Day. And come on, mostly, piñatas are normally in a little donkey, a paper mache donkey. And so today is a lot of times that's where it started.
Yeah.
Now people make, paper mache and piñatas out of anybody or anything.
Yeah.
Nancy was talking about politicians. Sometimes people put them as politicians so you can whack them.
Bash your head in.
It's all about the kids getting out there and adults whacking the piñata so the candy comes out. But apparently, so I always thought this came from Mexico. Turns out not. Comes from China.
I didn't know that. I always
The
thought
Chinese
it was
created the piñatas for their New Year festivities to bring good fortune to the season. So they were actually started off as cows, apparently, oxen, all kinds of different colors. And then it was Marco Polo who returned to Europe from his expeditions in Asia with piñatas. And that's how it all started.
Wow.
And then the piñata was introduced to Mexico by the Europeans in the 16th century.
So now when somebody's swimming in a pool and goes Marco, and the other person can just hit him.
But then at the same time, so in Mesoamerica, the Mayans were doing the same thing but they were whacking clay pots full of things. So basically, we like to whack things as human beings and get treats.
Like you have to whack it.
Yeah, they would take the clay pot and cover it with feathers, and then whack it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there's a whole bunch of there's so much to that history. But of course, I found a piñata song. I didn't know that we'd find them, and there's apparently quite a few, especially for kids' music, right? But this isn't. This is, I added the song Piñata, and it is from Here Come the Mummies band.
The Mummies?
It's pretty cool. Like the Mummies, yeah. Like walking mummies. We like mummies.
Do we?
Yes. Speaking of history... Okay, today is also the International Day for Monuments and Sites. It's observed around the world every year on April 18th to raise awareness of cultural heritage diversity, the vulnerability of sites and monuments, and treasures needed to maintain and conserve them. That's really important. The Grand Canyon is like something like that, but that's also natural history, right? But indigenous people come from there. You've got to think with the Taliban how they took down all the national monuments and sacred spaces.
Yes.
So a lot of our national monuments in this country are protected and preserved and interpreted through the National Park Service. And that's what Nancy and I do as we travel the country. Yes, we pet sit along the way to get our work done and hang out with animals. It's fun. And to get to live in different cities across the country and communities and farms and all that. It's a slow way of travel, but we document parks and public lands. You can see it all on nationalparktraveling.com. But a lot of them are monuments. We have over 430 national monuments or park sites, park units within the National Park Service. Some of the national monuments are through the Army Corps of Engineers. Some are through the Bureau of Land Management. All kinds of different agencies, but mostly the National Park Service. And some of them are local monuments too. But they tell the history. Like we've got monuments that interpret the history and protect the history of Harriet Tubman, for example, the Underground Railroad in this country, which is part of the celebration of today in this country. So it also happens to be the anniversary of a national monument that Nancy and I have been to. We've done 2 stories on it, actually. Chiricahua National Monument, which is outside of Tucson, where we live. And Chiricahua National Monument, it became a national monument on April 18th, 1924. It is known as the land of standing up rocks by the Apache. It is in, like I was saying, southeast Arizona, but it's these unique rock formations, these hoodoos, that happened from really like a volcano exploded out there years ago. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
The geology, they have over 1,200 plant species. all kinds of birds, wildlife, like ring-tailed cats.
It's really a good place to hang out.
And then there's also the historic Faraway Ranch that was built in 1888 by Swedish immigrants Neil and Emma Eriksson. And it ran as a guest ranch for over 50 years. In fact, one of the very first guest ranches of the West. So the story to that is linked in the show notes. So check that out. And because we're talking about Southeast Arizona by Tucson, good friends Michael and Spider have the album The Perfume of Creosote. You can check out the album on Spotify, YouTube. And so we thought, because we're still in the animal theme, we'd play Javalinas, which you can see out in that area. And Javalinas, they're
cute.
Not pigs, they're little peccaries.
They're little piggies,
they're like
wild boar.
They're cute, and in Tucson you see them
be.
And they do get in people's trash, but they're cute.
Just
and little babies
be.
are, and they will charge you if you don't mess with them.
Just leave them be.
But they're cute. So anyway, so that's the song on the playlist for that. You ready for more history and animals? Today's Big Glen radio show that airs at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Basically, we air at 4 p.m. Pacific time in the morning, 4 a.m. Pacific time with a big daily blend as best we can on that. But every day at 4 p.m. Pacific time, there's a new Big Blend radio interview. And today, speaking of monuments and historic sites, is an interview about Fort St. Jean-Baptiste State Historic Park in Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Cool.
Which happens to be the oldest settlement in the state of Louisiana. And this fort was really instrumental in regards to the Louisiana Purchase, no man's land. It's insane, the history of this fort.
The settling of this country.
Right. So we have Park Ranger Felicia Brand on there, and then also Arlene Gould, our friend Arlene, who's on our show every third Tuesday talking about Natchitoches.
Hi, y'all.
They're always partying. They're always partying in Natchitoches, but they're very historic, and it is one of our favorite places to visit. So hope you can catch that. Just go to bigblendradio.com. The link's in the show notes, too. So, when we thought, well, animals and Natchitoches, and we think about the French culture, the Cajun, the Zydeco, all of that, Zydeco music, there's Goldman, Thibodeaux, and the Lawtell Playboys, who we saw a few years back before the pandemic.
That was so special.
We went and saw them at the folk festival that happens in Natchitoches every year in July inside the university. So it's like this huge auditorium. And they started back up doing live things again last year. But this was probably one of our favorite music and cultural events we've ever been to in this country, ever. And we've done a lot, like seen a lot. This was special. And Goldman Thibodeaux, he's over 95. When we saw him, he was over 95.
So cool.
I don't even know if he's still alive, honestly. But I found his music on Spotify and YouTube, and I'm like, heck yeah, we got to put this on the playlist. And
it was so real.
He and I filmed him. And we do have a video actually of the festival that
we do.
I'll link that in the show notes for people. Yeah. You'll see him in there. I'll link it from his name in the music section.
It's just down to earth and real.
And he's got his kids. I mean, this is like a multi-generational band, right? And it goes down through the family, which is so cool. So anyway, the song on there is "Watch That Dog." Don't tease the dog. Do not like it's
going to bite.
Some more history today. Billy the Kid escaped from the Lincoln County Jail in Mesilla, New Mexico.
That was pretty cool.
That was back in 1881. 1906 marks the day the San Francisco earthquake and fire destroyed much of San Francisco. Of course, they rebuilt, and it became a hippie haven for many years. And then through that, the song San Francisco was written, and we've got San Francisco on the playlist, but it is not by who you think. It's Lukas Nelson and Promise of the Real. It's from their album Something Real. So we linked it because we've already got the animals. Nancy just wants Eric Burton. But we love Lukas Nelson, and they've got a new album coming out. So you may want to check that out. But we've linked that song in the show notes to the interview we did with Lukas about, how many years ago? 5, 6 years ago?
5 or 6. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, we talked about everything. Plants, how he talked about his dad, Willie Nelson, got
Dude,
tied
he
to
said he-
the bed with forks. His
told
no,
stories.
you got to hear this interview. It's
They
crazy.
should go listen.
Yeah. I'm gonna tag. I'll link it.
Yeah,
I'll link it from the
yeah.
show notes for you. But yeah, that was about the album that San Francisco's on, and they recorded it there. More in history, Joan of Arc is beatified in beatified. Am I saying it right? In Rome on this day in 1909. She was
Not beautified.
I didn't say beautified. I said beatified. Beatified.
Okay, beautified.
Not beat it up, but beatified.
It's a weird word.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. In 1456, she was declared a martyr. In 1909, she received beatification, a recognition of a deceased person's entrance into heaven and their capacity to intercede on the behalf of individuals who pray in her name.
Right.
In 1920, she was canonized by Pope Benedict. XV. I can't remember. That's the 15th. The
What?
15th. X is 10. No, it's 2.
10. X is 10.
Just give me a Dos Equis beer. And I know what that is. I'm just kidding.
X equals 10.
I know. That's why I said 15. XV is 15. I can
Yes.
count in Rome.
Okay.
Yep. So that happened September 9th, 2019. Somebody does need to give me a cup of coffee. So anyway, we've got to, of course, put Joan of Arc by Leonard Cohen on the playlist. So it's there. Oh, gosh, we've been covering this story about the Titanic, right? So it crashed, and now on this day in history, the Cunard liner RMS Carpathia brought 705 survivors from the RMS Titanic to New York City. This is in 1912. So listen, you go down in the Titanic, that's supposed to be the biggest and the best and the safest, and then boom, hits an iceberg. Now you're like
whoopsie.
cold, you're in the water, it's scary, the band plays on.
You have your little hors d'oeuvre for the green olive and a chunk
No,
of
you
cheese
don't.
on it.
But it's not funny. It's scary, man. So then, check it out. Here comes another cruise liner to save you. Do you really want to go on the cruise liner once you've gone down on a cruise liner?
Well, yeah, because it's better than where you are.
I know it's cold and wet and sharks.
It's
I always
better
think
than
of the
where you
sharks.
are,
I always
so-
think of the sharks.
And even if it happens again, it's better than
Koozie
where
the cat
you
does
were.
not like camels or sharks. I said sharks. She jumped down again.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing to...
No, but here you are, you're all dressed up and you're doing the fancy dances and the hors d'oeuvres and all that, and then the ship
Boom.
goes, oopsie, smacked an iceberg.
And then climate change began. No, I'm kidding. That's not
no,
funny.
but why did they smack the iceberg? They saw it.
We have to go back in that again?
Yeah.
All right. So we've got some history in books, newspapers, radio, TV, general media. So let's start on this day. BBC, on this day in 1930, announced that there's no news today. Like, what?
I love it. Wouldn't it be cool if, just all of a sudden you just no news.
There's no news.
Bye-bye.
Jesus. Speaking of that, it's also World Amateur Radio Day. Haha.
No news.
That is really more about ham radio and the two-way radio system, CB radios and all of that. And I think they're cool. And Nancy and I want to get a CB radio for when we're on the road, because we go to rest areas and we want to thank truckers on the road too for they help you. They are like our angels on the road. They're our road angels, and
we just want to go, hey, rubber ducky.
I know, we want to play rubber ducky. I don't know why we want to call it rubber ducky, but we do.
We do.
We used a ham radio and CB when we lived in Kenya, out in Karen, in the woods.
Yeah, we did, and that was fun.
Yeah, you could radio your neighbor.
Yeah.
And you needed to, because stuff went down.
You needed to, because you didn't
Safety.
have phones or anything else.
Well,
so
you had
it
phones, but it cost a
sorta.
fortune. And
Yeah, but they never worked.
No. But the
So-
radio was a way to, if something was wrong or...
Well,
it was a safety.
because we had bushfires.
We had all kinds of stuff going on.
And we had
snakes.
things.
All right, so
Sneak attack.
Anyway, speaking of that, of course, we put Convoy by W.C. McCall
Yeah,
on the
we have
playlist.
to. It's my favorite.
It's a convoy. We got ourselves a convoy, and I'll put a link in the show notes to the article about us going on Wolf Creek Pass, which he also wrote a song about. And W.C. McCall, I mean, he did a lot of truck driver songs, but he was also an environmental lawyer that stood up for the land.
He's a good dude.
Very cool dude. And anyway, listen, Wolf Creek Pass, you can keep it. Like, the mountain passes in Colorado.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I'm just, now we're going to have to drive across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge again. I'm not good at these big bridges.
Oh, just close your eyes.
Oh, yeah, as I drive, right? Yeah, I do it. I just put Bob Marley on and I'm good. Yeah. It is also National Columnist Day. This honors all newspaper columnists and their contributions to the truth in black and white.
There you go.
Dear Emily, what was her name? Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, but you know what? Newspaper columnists go out there and have done sports news. Your kids and your family get in the newspaper. Your local community news. What is your municipality doing? Talk about taxes. Who took the tax money? Who took the cookies out of the cookie jar?
I can tell you.
Or who did the right thing with the cookies from the cookie jar? So Nancy and I both are avid supporters of newspapers and wish we had them like old school times. I mean, some places you can still get a newspaper, and there's nothing like a good local newspaper, a good local radio station, and local TV that isn't like radio stations that buy the same playlist as the person next door. I mean, real stuff. University towns normally have good local radio stations. Anyway, NPR does a good job with it too. Do you know NPR walked off of Twitter?
Yeah, and good for them.
Oh, well, we're still on Twitter at Big Glen Mac. Come hang out. You just...
Hey, you got to do what you feel you got to do.
Yeah, you do. Hey, you do it. Anyway, so we put the song Newspaper. We were talking about Africa, right? This is from Simon Chimbetu and the Orchestra Dendera Kings. And he is a Zimbabwe artist. He's passed now. He's a vocalist, guitarist, composer, founding member of the band Orchestra Dendera Kings. He was known by many stage names: Chopper, Mr. Viscose, Cellular, Simomo, and Mukuma Sam. So anyway, he had a song Newspaper, and he did get into political trouble. He was also jailed. He got out of prison. Well, because apparently he ran a farm.
Was jailed.
He didn't pay people, but then he did. Anyway.
But everybody in the newspaper industry was jailed in Africa at some point or the other.
Well, he wasn't in the newspaper industry, but he wrote the song Newspaper.
But that's what I just said.
Yeah, I thought you said, but I was saying the musician.
No, but I mean, if you
say anything against the so-called leaders, you get in trouble.
At that time,
yeah,
you get jailed.
Anyway, that's on the playlist. Again, check the show notes. And lastly, in regards to books, media, news, Simon & Schuster published the very first crossword puzzle book in 1924.
Cool.
So, I mean, crossword puzzles are so really still good. We have we have jigsaw puzzles and crossword puzzles on our websites. And today's one, since it's Travel Tuesday, and because we were talking about roadrunners and animals and just quirky, weird stuff, I thought, all right, we'll put the link to the crossword puzzle of roadside attractions. Cool. Come on, we love to see weird stuff on the road, and we will do the detour for, the biggest chicken, the big roadrunner, the big egg, the big frying pan, the world's longest, longest chopsticks. We did that. So check that out. It's in the show notes.
The biggest ball of yarn.
The biggest ball of yarn. And then we also have the link to the song Crossword Puzzle by Sly and the Family Stone.
Cool.
I love Sly and the Family Stone.
Me too.
Yeah. So moving on. Wow, today's busy. Today is busy. How could they have no news in music?
That's why there's no news. There's too much other stuff.
Yeah, we're still talking about TV and stuff, actually. 1987, MTV finally said, oh, yeah, heavy metal is here. Dudes, you're a little late, but they brought in Headbangers Ball, a weekly show dedicated to heavy metal. Ricky Rockman was the host of Headbangers Ball. Also, he got that gig because of the Cat House that he ran in Hollywood, which was like a nightclub full of debauchery. I'm just going to use that word.
That is really
anyway, we recently interviewed him about his One Foot in the Gutter tour that he does. It's a one-man show across the country. He's going to Australia in June. And so I put the link to that in case you missed it. It wasn't that long ago, a few weeks ago, actually. Maybe, was it? Anyway, we've got it up there. And if you can catch him, he's got wild tales of like Axl Rose chasing David Bowie down the street. Christina Applegate used to check the coats at the door. I mean, and one of the bartenders, I think, was a guy from Blind Melon. I mean, the stories are insane.
I know from growing up in Hollywood, stars today that were checking in coats and taking hats, especially there was that one restaurant, Cicero's. Cicero's. And you could hang outside because they had big, long windows and look inside and see celebrities eating, but you could also see, like, one week they're checking in hats and coats, and the next day they're sitting there as a celebrity. My brother and I used to, like, it was the peep show to us, not like peep show like what people think peep shows are, but we would peep up in the windows and look in because you'd see these people 3 or 4 weeks later on TV, and then you're like, but we just saw them there, so then we got hooked on it.
There you go. How about some baseball history? You ready?
Okay.
Cicero's. Cusi the cat is all happy with this.
Cicero's, not
okay.
Cicero's.
I know.
Cicero's.
I can't pronounce anything. Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, opened on this day in 1923, and in honor of that, we've got the song "The Babe Ruth" by Terry Cashman. He is known for his 1981 hit "Talkin' Baseball," but we're not playing that song. We're playing "The Babe," since this is part of history. But also, 1981, the longest professional baseball game is begun in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It was suspended at 4 the next morning and finally completed on June 23rd, 1981. Think about it. This is April 18th, right? All the way through to June 23rd. I don't know what was going on. I have no clue about baseball except for people do. See, it's Piñata Day in baseball. Like, that goes hand in hand. You got a bat. Get the bat out.
Smash it.
Smash the bat. Yep. Some birthdays today. Birth anniversaries. Barbara Hale, the actor, was born on this day in 1922. 2 years later on this day, we've got blues musician Clarence Gatemouth Brown, born in Vinton, Louisiana. See, we can't get out of Louisiana. No. He was an American singer and multi-instrumentalist, and he won a Grammy Award for the Best Traditional Blues Album in 1983 for his album All Right Again. But we're going to play one of a song from one of his latest albums because we're talking about animals today. Dixie Chicken, and this is from his album Back to Bogalusa, and that was out in 2001. He passed away in 2005 in Orange, Texas. All right, so carrying on with a little music. In 1935, record producer Paul Rothchild. We know him from The Doors, and Janis Joplin was born on this day in Brooklyn, New York. And so, keeping with the animal theme, got Peace Frog from The Doors on there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Robert Hooks, the film producer and director, was born in 1937. Haley Mills, the actress, was born on this day, April 18th, in 1946. On the same day, Skip Spence, the guitarist, singer, and songwriter from Jefferson Airplane and Moby Grape, was born. Two completely opposite people, right? He was born Alexander Lee Skip Spence in Canada, and he did co-found Moby Grape and played with them until 1969. Then he went on to do his own solo thing And what's cool is we played with one of his drummer friends, Willie, for many years in San Diego. Willie has also since passed. We loved Willie, but he introduced a song to me, Murder in My Heart for the Judge.
Yeah.
And we used to perform that, and I used to play that all over the place. And man, anyway, we've got that song on the playlist as our closing song, because sometimes we do get pissed about what judges do. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Sometimes you just get a little pissy. But ode to Skip Spence. And some other birthdays real quick. 1947, Dorothy Lyman. John James, the actor, 1956. Conan O'Brien was born in 1963.
I love the Conan.
Eric McCormick was born, the actor, in 1963 as well. In 1971, actor David Tennant. A lot of actors. Melissa Joan Hart, the actress, was born in 1976. Awesome. And America Ferrera, the actress, was born in 1984. If you were born today, we wish you a very happy birthday.
Put another candle.
Put another candle. Enjoy your spin around the sun. We want to thank you all for joining us. We do also have a recipe in the show notes, because we talked about the desert, Southwest, New Mexico, Arizona. Our friend Eva Eldridge has a recipe video we did with her. And it is all how to make red chili sauce. It's vegan. It's delicious.
Oh, it's so good.
It's what people use to make their own homemade enchiladas.
Yummy.
So it's easy to do. So check it out. We've got that link in there. Of course, please keep up with us. Follow us on YouTube at Big Blend Radio. Also, bigblendradio.com. We're on Spotify. We're on everywhere. So thank you for joining us, and don't forget, everything is in the show notes. We'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day. Maybe we'll play Alice the Camel. Who knows?
She only had one.
No, she didn't. She started with 10.